All right, good evening.
Good evening.
How are you doing?
Great.
Thank you for coming on time. If you're here for the first time, we're going to split up in just a second, just so we know how many chairs we need back there. If you're here for the first time on Thursday, raise your hand. All right, great. You follow Brady and Thomas back into the orientation room. Let's give our visitors a huge
Yes. Yes. All right. Anybody who won? Who it is? Anybody else who won?
Hi, my name is Casper. My guest right there is someone that I had prospected. She's just moved here from another state. She's looking to, looking for some part-time opportunity to earn some income. So I talked to her and brought her out here to tonight to introduce her to the business.
All right.
And I just reconnected with one of my high school friends. His family is like a small business. He's looking to be an entrepreneur, financial industry, so I invited him and he's here with us tonight.
My name is Jim. I prospected my Uber driver. His name is Lynn. He dropped me off last Thursday, and I was trying to get him to come in, but he was like, "No, you can make it." So he's like, "He'll come today." He was here before me. He's here at 7. So
All right.
Most have one.
Hi, my friend Josh has become, he's just a really good friend of me, my husband, I just said, come see what I'm doing. He's here.
All right.
Yeah, so you just say, want to see what I'm doing, and you can.
Yeah, I mean, a little bit more involved.
But that was the gist of it,
Yeah.
not hard at all, right? Okay, my name's Control. First time same for us. But I went to the HMA Korean store, and then one of the cashier lady, Korean lady, I love it. I didn't pay attention, I just, now wait a minute. This lady is behind me. Oh, I love you. Thank you. What level are you? She said, I'm in America. Oh, right. So she knew something. She was in the field maybe for short-term periods, and she didn't know anything. And then she said, it's a this and this time. She's getting older, and she wanted something. And then she wanted to come to here. Story is in the ring. Well, your daughter always don't mind. Anybody else who won? Gotta keep it real. Like here.
I'm Sheila. I have my best friend of 37 years. In college from North Carolina visiting. She's here.
Anybody else who won?
Hi guys, I'm Goody. I invited Esther and I prospected her at the mall.
Anybody else who won?
I got my brother out today. He's this landscape. He's always looking for something else. So come through and check it out. Let's go.
Great job.
Anybody else who two?
I brought one of my ex-co-workers with me tonight. His name is Douglas. Been after him for about maybe a year and a half. He is a very smart guy. When you see people sitting around just reading the Wall Street Journal, you just want to just go in and say what he's doing. So He's very smart. He wanted to make extra income and loves doing securities. So he wants to get the Series 6. Next, other person I have come out on a Saturday. She's already joined on and she's eager to make extra income. So this is her first time going to church.
All right,
One of y'all put this cake.
What's up, guys? What's up? I'm Brigham. So I got, let's see where to start. Hero works at the airport. I met him through a guy who Mario, who I hired him a year ago. I just kept in touch with Hero, got him in, hired him. So he's here. The other one is a girl, one of my past friends that I said, hey, come on out, come support me, but also look for a better job. She's looking for a job. The third is, my all-star stud, Jordan, right here. So how I met this guy is a really funny story. All right, so, my girlfriend talks a lot about, people that go to her school, and I overheard her saying about, people who invest. All right, and I was like, oh, she mentioned his name, and I was like, oh, I'm gonna look this guy up. So I looked him up on Instagram, DM'd him, and said, hey man, I do a lot of investing myself, let's network. And I get his number from Instagram. I call him in last Thursday, he comes in for an interview, starts right then and there, scheduled his test, he's passing this weekend. Already brought like 7 people into the office already, all his best friends, they're all gonna start up with him, and he has guests out here too. So, boom.
Hey everyone, my name is Francisco. First off, I think it was last week I did an interview with a guy. His name is Jason. He couldn't come on Thursday last week because he was leaving. He went on vacation. Told me he was coming back this week. He told me he loved everything that he did. I did it actually. Loved everything he did. Told me he's gonna sign on. He signed on yesterday with his idea. He's here tonight. Jason's been here since 6 o'clock. So I know this guy's a firecracker. The next person is my best friend. She's one of my oldest friends actually. Before I even joined this, I spoke to her about this company because she already had been to the office in Gaithersburg, and it's like I don't know what they teach people over there, but it's always issues over there. So she told me to go every single Thursday. Go every single Thursday. I'm like, just come on, support me every single Thursday. I finally was like, all right, just help me with my training. I need the strength to go back. Just help me. My trainers need someone to come out to, and I need your help. She said, all right, fine. Me and John, we're coming up there. She calls me as we're walking up her steps. She's like, I don't want you to sell me nothing. I want nothing from you. And I'm like, oh my God, she's so bad. I'm sitting there, and John's like, calm down. And I'm like, he's like, you're gonna get this. Don't worry about it. We go up there. Everything, like, we basically, like, smashed everything she knew about insurance. Like, we educated her, basically. And I told her, I was like, look, you're coming this Thursday, and I challenge you to bring somebody. So she said yes, and she brought her cousin.
We got 3. We have, today's actually her first Thursday. We joined the company 2 weeks ago. She's at 2x3. She has 5 people here tonight. Julie right here became a client 3 days ago, and we recruited her. She was here this past Thursday without Julie. Julie has been sending people to me on Saturday and Thursday without even coming. This woman has a ton of credibility. She's married with kids. She's eager to build a business. She had a whole life policy that she is absolutely furious about, and she wants to help the Hispanic community. I'm really excited about her. She has 5 people coming to her with her to class on Saturday. She's already at 2x3, so she's going to be at 2 weeks. So I'm excited about her. She has her. She has her babysitter Marlon and Marlon's best friend Yannick, and she also has her son back there, but he's been here before, and then she has Julie here. So I'm very excited about her.
before he goes back to Radford, which is Sunday, so video where he brought his sister and one of his best friends, Jada. And I also brought another best friend, too.
What'd you say to him? What'd you say to him?
I just told him, honestly, I was like, you know, I want you guys to, find out what I'm doing, what I'm getting into. Just come out of this, honestly. That's what I did.
All right.
Okay, so we have 4 guests. We have Johnny, he's a government contractor. We have Andrew, who is our friend who came back from the military. It was my first time meeting him. He was his cousin, so we exchanged numbers and we invited him up. And then we have Sky, who's actually already our client. He already has his first down. He got an 83 on the simulator, so he's about to take his test. Yeah, he got 80. And he studied for like 18 days, and he just joined
18 hours.
18 hours. 18 hours. He just joined less than a week ago. Yeah, and then we also have Kai, who already has his license. He used to work for PFSI. We're changing his mind on it. We're trying to get his mom to switch her policies.
Great job, team.
Yeah.
Anybody else supporting 4? All right, guys, give a warm welcome for SVP Severe Qureshi.
All right, real quick, let me do a top chart out to see who has the most people here. So Jordan, what we do, this thing top chart out that we do, I don't know if you were here on Saturday last week? Yeah, okay. We do this thing top turnout, and really what top turnout is, it's the leadership award. It's the size of your team is the size of your leadership. Primerica is a unique opportunity because it's a volunteer army. People come because they want to. Jordan's not here because I said I'd give him $20 an hour, right? He's here because he wants to learn from our environment. He feels that we know something that he wants to learn. We have something that he wants. We've come somewhere that he wants to go. Does that make sense? And so the more people you can put into a room, the more money you're going to make. It's just like that. It's the same thing in a concert. I remember when I saw a comedian, Kevin Hart. You know, at the end, he got really emotional and he said, "I'm selling out stadiums. That was my dream." If you watch his special in the theater, he sold out Madison Square Garden. That was a dream of his, right? He's one of the highest paid top 3 comics in the world. Why? Because he can get butts in chairs. Everybody wants to fight Floyd Mayweather. Why? Because he can get you millions of people paying for pay-per-view. Everything in business is about building an attendance. It's the same thing in Primerica. I'm going to give a great message today. I have a great training in my opinion, but how many people do you have listening to the training? Well, we talk when in the back, when Shaq or Sophia or whoever is going over compensation and becoming a vice president, how many people do you have listening to that? So this is an attendance building, team building business. I just want to recognize real quick at the different levels how many people have here. We've got to do it real quick. I'm going to talk super fast because I got to get into the training. So if you're below district, stand up. And we'll start at 2, including yourself. Stay standing. Okay, 2, including yourself. Okay. All right, so including yourself, including the people back there, right? Let's go to 3. You're at 5. So you have 4 plus yourself. All right, 4. You got 4? All right. So anyone be 5 below district? That's 5. Where's she? She's in the back? Okay, so how do I do that?
You got it.
Oh, I'm just saying for county, so yeah, he can have it.
All right, give it up for Jordan. All right, district, stand up. So this is a higher level, right? District leader. We'll start at 3, including yourself. 5? Are you still up at 5 or do you only have 4?
Top 5.
I say 6, then you sit down. Right? 6. What do you got? 8. You have more than 8 district? All right, you're up and ready. Good job. Because the team with the most people in here, it becomes your meeting. And I always tell the story, when I came into Primerica, I was in an office, Shaq and Brett brought me in, and it was us 3, and they had a couple friends. At that point, we hadn't really grown to anything sizable. And the trainings, in my opinion, were very boring. I'm allowed to have that opinion. They were not prepared. Someone was reading off a piece of paper. There was a huge age gap. I was in my early 20s. The person doing the training was in their mid-50s, and they didn't have a lot of energy, and I didn't like the content, and there wasn't a lot of competition. So what did we do? We went to our RVP, we said, what do we have to do so we can run the meetings? I don't even know how to run a meeting, but I think we can run a meeting better than the way that they're being ran. And he said, hey, Primerica is a performance-based environment, and the people that have the most people in training are the ones that should be doing the training. So we started to recruit massively, and we would have 10 people, then 20 people, then 30 people, then 40 people, then 50 people. And just to describe our first office, our RVP's office was as big as this right here. This was his office. Now, it was in a corporate building that's in Sterling. It was grade A space. Very nice building, but so when you pulled up to it, it looked nice, but his actual office was the size of a closet. You couldn't do interviews in there, you couldn't do anything in there, so what we had to do is we had to use the building's cafeteria, which was around the corner. Now when we started growing, the building allowed us to use a conference room that was about a quarter of this size, right? And we would do trainings in the conference room, and when we had too many people, then we started to overflow into the cafeteria. Me and my 2 best friends, we went from just about 5 or 6 of us, when I came on, they'd already been in for a year, 5 or 6 of us sitting in a room, to eventually there was 80 people in the cafeteria, 90 people in the cafeteria, and we would have 20 to 30 to 40 guests on a weekly basis. And then we ran the meetings. I don't even remember what happened to the other people. We took over. So you got to know what you have to do at your level, and I'll tell you one thing, as I came up through the ranks, nobody, right? Shay, you were telling him, I used to have competition in the base shop. I used to beat them on a monthly basis in every single category you can think of. So I remember one time my competitor, he said, we were both at division, he said, man, he literally came up to me, he goes, can you please go to regional so that I can start being competitive at division? And I was like, that's the weakest thing I've ever heard. Right? Now, we got a lot out of each other. He's a 6-figure earner RVP today, too. He has a Sterling office, which you guys hear a lot about. Right? But that's why we do these things. It's not just to clap for the people. It's for the people that you're clapping. You're clapping for someone else, but you got to log that number and say, man, I can beat 4. I can beat 10. I can beat 18. I can beat 11. I can beat 8. Right? Whatever these numbers are, you got to log it in your mind, and you got to try to beat it. Okay? So, all right. I want to have a quick conversation that me and Jordan had today. And he really had it with me. It was either today or yesterday. And I thought about this and I was like, wow, he's having this conversation with me, but I have this conversation with a lot of people as well. And since we had it, I want to tell you what we talked about. So once in a while you find people, right? There's different types of people that we find. They're in different places when you bring them into the business. Some people have such an employee mindset, they're starting way back here, and it takes them 6 months just to justify the fact that, yes, we do some sales, right? All businesses recruit. Now we're a year in, and they're finally realizing that it's normal to recruit, it's normal to find a client. Yes, this is performance-based. And then what Bill Arender says, I heard this on an audio once, he says, once in a while you find people who are predisposed. You bring them in and they're already ready for the opportunity. You didn't have to ingrain that mindset, they came in with the mindset. So I was talking with, gosh, bring me that water bottle. I was talking with Jordan and he said that a lot of how old are you? He's 20 years old. And he said that a lot of my friends are getting internships, but I refuse to get an internship. And a lot of my friends want jobs, I don't want a job. So I've been looking for something like this, and it's very coincidental that Reagan got in touch with me on Instagram and brought me out here because I'm looking for something like this. And by the way, in college, he's a college basketball player and a track athlete. Right? You don't get to that level in sports, 2 different sports, unless you're a disciplined person, in my opinion. And he said, I don't want to have a job. And I said, why not? And he had this conversation with me. And I remember I always used to have this conversation with people about the dangers of getting a job. Now, some of you in here have a job and you support a family and you have to have a job. But you got to have awareness about what the job can potentially be doing for you. It's not just that your boss may suck. It's not just that your income is limited. It's what it does to your emotional intelligence. And we had this conversation, and he already knew the conversation. I was just kind of adding to it. What happens when kids get out of school and they get that first job? What happens? You immediately, let's say the average person, in Northern Virginia, I think it's a little bit higher. Someone could come out and make 40-something, right out of college. So you come out, you start making 40-something. Now, if you go from being a broke college kid to now making 40-something thousand a year, what's the first thing you're thinking? You've never had money. What are you thinking? Okay, you're thinking, maybe you're thinking, I'm rich, right? But what are the first couple things that come to mind? What do young people do when they start making money?
Buy stuff. Cars.
They buy a car. They buy a car. One of my clients, her son graduated from Virginia Tech 2 years ago. He gets his first job with Booz Allen, and he's making in the 50s. Okay? Not bad. For a kid right out of college. Right away goes out and gets a Mercedes C300. Okay? This is a $680 a month payment. Okay? Now, lucky for him, culturally, and I did this too, you don't move out of the house until you get married. Culturally, that's the way we grew up. I lived with my parents. A lot of you guys won't believe this. I lived with my parents, until 31, 32 years old. That's part of the reason why my savings is substantial. Right? So we don't have that pressure culturally, but typically I have friends, as soon as you get that job, the parents know it, you know it, what do you gotta do?
Move out.
You gotta move out. You gotta move out. Now, I don't know, do people generally share or do they get their own place?
Share.
I don't know. You share, okay? Now, around here, you want to live in a nice place. It's $2,000 a month, so then you are going to spend $1,000 a month plus whatever other bills. And what starts to happen is, your vacations get a little bit better. Maybe you make some mistakes and you start spending on credit cards. You have some debt. You have to pay back your student loan. And now what's starting to happen is the money that you're bringing in, guess what? You need it. You need that job. And you're trapped, right? You can't always try something. You can't just drop everything and go full-time into an opportunity because now you are trapped with your expenses, right? And so the only way that you can maybe get a little bit of wiggle room is to what? Find a different job. people say, this isn't enough money, I'm gonna go back to school. And they go back to school because they have this perception that they can make even more money, but they're gonna get in $60,000 to $80,000 of more debt to go back to school. And then they come out, what's the average raise when you go from a bachelor's to a master's? Do you guys know? It's 10 grand. And how much do they spend, Jordan? About 60. I'm not saying, look, people around here, I know kids. My brother probably, he's 10 years old, so he's 25. By the time he's 27, I know he'll be at a six-figure income. He works for Amazon, he's an engineer. I know he's gonna be at six figures. People make money, but you know, as their income goes up, what else goes up? Their expenses. That's the thing, man, is that you taste the comfort of money early on, then you get trapped with the expenses, and then you need that job. Let me tell you something else. How you make money becomes an addiction. People don't realize that. How you make money becomes an addiction. You know, addictions affect your emotions. When you're used to that check coming in, no matter what, you know exactly how much it's going to be, and every 2 weeks it hits your account, you get attached to that. You get attached to that comfort. You get attached to that guarantee. And if something happens and that money doesn't come in your account, you get anxiety, you get scared, and now you become a fear-based person that seeks security. And you start saying things like, oh, you run your own business? Oh, I couldn't do that. I need to know where my money's coming from. I need to know that money's coming in. That's a fear-based thinker. No one that went out and did something entrepreneurial, no one that went out and did something big didn't get away from a security mindset. You have to get away from a security mindset. You can't be fear-based in your thinking. So you got a bunch of people, they're addicted to a paycheck. Now what happens when an addict doesn't get what they want? Isn't that what happens? We bring people into Primerica. Maybe they're in between jobs. Maybe they're in a job, but we say, hey, come work part-time. And 2 weeks go by and they go, hey, where's my paycheck? I say, hey, it takes a little bit longer. Then 3 weeks, and maybe 4 weeks. Maybe it's taking them a long time to get a license. Maybe they haven't found a client for whatever reason. 4 weeks go by, 5 weeks go by, what's up, right? The addict they need what they need. So what's Primerica, right? What are these talks? Kind of like rehab, right? We want to get you away from that addiction. We want to teach you a better way to make money. We want to pay you what you're worth. You can go try that job, you can go back to that job, but there's always a psychological risk. Of course there's a risk in starting your own business. I'm not downplaying that, but there's a psychological risk in going into a guaranteed income environment. People look at it like it's all good. I'm telling you, it's not all good. It's not all good. Because if I had felt what that was like, I don't know if I would have been able to make the sacrifices, right? I got guys on my team, you know, sometimes they struggle. Sometimes they don't know when the money's coming. But they also haven't seen what it's like to make $8,000, $10,000 a month just showing up and sometimes doing nothing, which a lot of people do at their job. Right? And you go through that initial struggle now, you have emotional intelligence, right? I went through, there was periods of time, I went through things in my life, I didn't have enough money, right? I didn't freak out. I didn't run back to a job. I didn't run back to an addiction. I didn't run the opposite direction. I had the emotional intelligence to know that whatever I'm going through, it will pass. And the money's gonna come. And I had that belief. And I could be excited in front of the room, and I could be excited in front of my clients, and I never seemed desperate, and I had that emotional intelligence, and that's why I'm in front of the room today. So I thought that was a really good conversation that me and you had, and how insightful for a 20-year-old to remind me that conversation I used to have with people. And again, I didn't have to teach him that. He already knew that coming in. And that's why we recruit, because people come in different places. People come in at different levels. People come in with a different mentality, right? And once in a while you get someone, they're predisposed, they're ready to run. Other people, like I said, 1 year before they figure out, hey, everything we do is pretty much normal. Right? Okay. So there is a training that I've been trying to complete now for a couple of weeks, and I want to finish it today. This is one of my favorite trainings. Some of you guys heard a portion of it a few weeks ago. It's called the Primerica Blend. And it compares us to other businesses. And I'm glad that Jordan, you get to see this before you go back to college, and a couple of the other guys that aren't going to be here. It's good to understand where we rank with other businesses and what makes us similar or different from other opportunities that you can pursue. Primerica is not the only business opportunity, but in my opinion, it's one of the best for the reasons that we're going to be talking about today. So, we talked about this last time. What is the most common way, especially in our area, to go out and make money? One of the most common opportunities is going and working with corporate America. Now, everything has advantages and disadvantages. What is the advantage in going and working for corporate America? Name recognition. You know, when people visit the Northern Virginia area, they look around and they say, oh, is that Audi headquarters? If you come into Reston Town Center, there's Rolls-Royce headquarters. Wow, Rolls-Royce is here? You drive on, in Ashburn on Waxpool, you see Verizon's headquarters. Wow, Verizon is here. Booz Allen is here. Wow, there's a building, AOL, Microsoft. All these companies are right here. And people get impressed with that. And people say, no, I hate my job, but I just wanted to work there a couple years to put it on my resume because it's a resume builder. Because when people look at that name on the resume, they recognize it. You could be staring at a wall for all you know, but as long as you, at one point, work for that company and put on your resume, for some reason it impresses people. That's the good thing about corporate America in people's mind. There's name recognition. My sister used to work for Goldman Sachs. That's like the company to work for in the financial industry. It's one of the most prestigious. If you look at, most presidents' cabinets, a lot of people come from Goldman Sachs. Name recognition. But what's the disadvantage? No control over your income. They hire you for 80 grand a year. You have a spouse, you have some kids. You want to move into a different neighborhood. In order to move into a different neighborhood, you need to make $5,000 more a month. One of Shaq's friends told him, because Shaq has kids and Mario has kids too, and Mario told Shaq, not Mario Arizona, Mario Munoz, told Shaq, he goes, hey, $5,000 a month will solve all your problems. Make $5,000 more than what you're making right now. Nanny, chef, everything, you can do with $5,000. And Shaq was like, oh, okay. He has control. He can say, I want to make $5,000 more. Is that how it works in corporate America? Do we walk into Booz Allen and say, hey, starting next month, I need to make, I'll work a little harder, but I need to make $5,000 more a month. Is that how it works? Is that how it works at Homeland Security, Isidro? You walk in, tell your boss you need, $5,000 a month raise. I'm not saying they won't give you 3%. That can happen, but you don't have control over your income. There's no security. And there's so many people out there that think, oh, not me, not my job. And it is, it's laughable. It's like, fine, you're going to work your job, at least know what it is. It's not yours. You are renting that position. They are renting you. It's temporary. Your landlord can kick you out whenever they want. Companies restructure, companies downsize, companies eliminate departments, companies lay off. Some of you guys know Mojan, right? He was one of my first RVPs. Mojan and Olia, I recruited his wife, she retired him, right? And before she retired him, he was working at AOL. What they told him was, every night check your email and then you'll know whether you're supposed to come to work in the morning. I don't make this stuff up. This really happened to a 6-figure employee. That lasted for over a month. Can you imagine the morale? Can you imagine the stress level if you have kids? They said, hey, you can quit and you'll get this severance package. But if you wait and you take your chances and you get laid off anyways, then you're only going to get this much. Think about that. No ownership. This is a conversation that people don't have in America anymore. In the 1900s, everybody used to work for themselves. Maybe it was a farm, maybe it was something else. Everybody had a trade. And then what happened was people handed everything over to a corporation, and they started just working in the same companies that someone else bought for them, and then they were forever enslaved to the corporations. And whereas 95% of people were entrepreneurs in the early 1900s, now only 5% of people are entrepreneurs, and 95% of people work for other people. Every single day, I'm putting in hours to someone else's dream, to someone else's company. We always tell people, when you come into Primerica, you get to build your own business, because remember, you're doing it anyways, just not for yourself. Everybody's building a business, just not their own. Here, you get ownership. Every person that comes in, that's part of my business. Every client that gets brought in, that's part of my business. I'm not doing it for some company. You get to own something here. It can pay your family for the rest of your life. It has equity. It has a value associated to it. You can sell it. You guys have heard the speeches. Everyone knows to own a home, that's a $300,000, $400,000 asset, $500,000 asset. But we rent out our career. If you make $50,000 a year for 20 years, that's $1 million you're going to make. That's a way bigger asset. Your ability to earn income, you have to own it. But what do? We rent it out to somebody. Little potential for advancement. In a corporation, you have mid-level managers, you have upper-level management, you have directors, right? You have C-level, C-level executives, CFO, CEO, CTO. Then you have the person at the top. Now, for certain people to get to certain positions, if those positions are filled, you have to wait for someone to retire, die, quit. There's very little potential for advancement in corporate America. People say, that's not true. I went from here to there. Yeah, you did, but out of how many people? Does everybody have that opportunity? Does every company have that opportunity? How many people have you interviewed? How many people you went on an appointment with and they said, I'm pretty much as far as I can go in my company? I meet those people all the time. What do you do? Even in Primerica, what would I do? If they said, hey, you're capped out at your income and you can only be a vice president. No, as soon as you get to vice president, you feel like a district again. Now I got to go to SVP, then I got to go to NSD. Advancement is what drives us, it's what gets us up in the morning, it's what gets us to get better, self-improve. Why? Because there's something more to reach for. When you don't have that potential for advancement, what does it do to your mindset? What does it do to your psyche? People don't understand. It's not just the money, it's what it does to you up here. Have you ever met some people that made a lot of money but they were unhappy? It's not just about the money, it's what's up here. What's another way to make money? Self-employed. This is another opportunity. Advantage. Ownership. It's still a job, but you own it. Roofer, hairstylist, dentist. You're the one cleaning teeth, you're the one cutting hair, you're the one fixing the roof, you're the one doing the plumbing, you're the one mowing the lawn, but hey, at least it's yours. You own it. Now, I don't know how much value you're going to have if you're the only one in the business, because that's what self-employed means, but you still own it. What's the disadvantage? Right? We can go over more advantages. You can work whenever you want. To some extent, you can control your own income. To some extent. Because it's like, well, right now if I cut 3 people's hair a day, what if I could get it to 6? What if I could get it to 9? What if I could start working Sundays? So there's more flexibility. Obviously, a huge advantage when you're the owner is you don't have a boss. Disadvantage, no system. No system. People say, well, I'm going to leave this company, I'm going out on my own. Hey, your company has an infrastructure. They have payroll. They have HR. Your clients, right, if you do something or they need something, they have a customer service department. What are you going to do when you go out on your own? Right? Someone can leave McDonald's and say, I'm going to start my own burger joint. Yeah? How many ounces are you going to put in the burgers? How many ounces of meat? What should the prices be? Where should your location be? How should the restaurant be oriented? How should you advertise? Who's teaching you all this? People that go out on their own, they have no mentorship a lot of times. Who's going to teach you how to do it the right way first? Who is this person that's going to teach you? Nowadays they have business consultants. Those people have never run their own business. They charge people per hour. People do it all the time. And why do people pay people that are unqualified to teach them about business? Because that's how desperate they are for mentorship. They'll take a chance. I know guys, before they'd ever run a business, they were charging business owners $500 an hour for business consulting. Because business owners want to know, what am I doing? How do I do this? It sounded like a good idea, but I just don't know what I'm doing. There's no system. You graduate from dental school, you say, I want to have my own practice. Okay, where do you start? But you thought they taught you that in dental school? How to run your own practice? Even if they do, how much of your curriculum was how to run your own practice versus how to actually clean teeth? No name recognition. I said this last time, right? I know what I'm going to get at Wendy's. I don't know what I'm going to get at the other place. Right? I know what I'm getting at Taco Bell. I don't know what I'm going to get at Tiki Taco. It doesn't exist. Right? People know. People know. They've heard. Maybe there's some reviews out there. Maybe there's a reputation out there. But when you're all on your own, people don't know what they're going to get. Right? I can hire a professional landscaper. I can hire the guy that knocks on my door. Right? Not a huge deal, but if money's not an issue, I got to go with the company that is insured. I know they have a customer service department. I know I can reach them. No name recognition. Clients are taking a chance with you. So that's the risk in going out on your own. No vacation. Oh man, I can't wait to make $500,000 a year, $800,000 a year, $1 million a year. I know people who make all of those that are self-employed. They rarely leave town, and when they do, all they can think about is how much money it's costing them. Because when they're not in town, right? They can't sell homes. They can't clean teeth. They can't cut hair. They can't fix that roof. They can't fix that air conditioning. They trade their time for money. When they're on vacation, no time, no money. They go on vacation, their paycheck goes on vacation too. Now, this is still way better than this in my opinion, but we have to know how everything works. Franchise. This is a very legitimate opportunity. You can own a red box where people buy DVDs. I talked about this last time. Edible arrangements. Obviously, we know the food ones. Subway, Taco Bell, Popeyes, McDonald's. What other franchises are there?
Chick-fil-A.
There's a franchise for everything. I know we know the food ones. What else is there? In other industries.
H&R Block.
H&R Block is a franchise. Liberty Tax, same thing, right? You can have a tax franchise. What else? What's that? Gymboree. Huh? What's that? Okay. That. What else? Auto repair. You can, right? You can open up a Mako. Jiffy Lube probably. What else? Huh? That's a franchise? But someone can buy that and start doing that business? Okay.
Dry
I
cleaning.
thought that was corporate, but okay. What else?
Dry cleaning.
Huh?
Dry cleaning.
Dry cleaning franchise. Absolutely.
Real estate.
State Farm. Financial Services. State Farm. Nationwide. Allstate. So, absolutely, you can have a franchise, right? Name recognition. I can start Samir's Insurance Services, or I can buy a State Farm. I guarantee you, if they could be 2 blocks away, 90% of people will go. If there's no marketing or advertising on my part, they're going to go to State Farm. They've seen the commercial. They know, right? That's a huge advantage to a franchise, that the national advertising. People know you're going to get that drive-by traffic. It's a turnkey system. I've met people who own Liberty tax offices. These people knew nothing about taxes. They just thought it was a good idea. They got involved. I told you now, they have these franchise tests. So someone leaves corporate America and they say, I want to buy my own business. They go to the Franchise Association. They take some type of personality test and it matches them up. A lady I know, she left Freddie Mac. Now she owns a sign company. She makes colored signs when a new building is coming, or on the sides of windows when a new restaurant is opening, or for schools or whatever. It has nothing to do with anything she ever knew about, but that's what they matched her up. But you know what? She didn't have to be a sign expert. It's a turnkey system. Anyone you hand that key to, they can turn it and open the door. That's what a franchise did. He made money off it. You own that franchise. Disadvantages. High startup cost. Right? So you own a couple Subways. How much is the franchise fee for Subway? Huh? So the franchise fee is only $10,000, but how much does it cost to build it out? $275 to $350 for a sandwich shop where your average sale is $10. High startup costs. So they charge you a franchise fee up front, then you have to actually build out your location. $200,000-$300,000. Not everything is McDonald's and Wendy with a 90% success rate. Things fail. People lose their life savings. They owe banks, right? So it's a great idea if you have
Money.
$200,000-$300,000. Now, the average Subway, how much is it going to make you a year? Okay, so $100,000. So if you own one, it's $100,000. Are you rich? No. So you're going to be saving a lot of that money, and then you have to go buy another one, which you can. Now you're making $200,000, but it's kind of commonly known that usually with franchises, you have to own several before you can actually, just because the guy down the street owns a franchise doesn't make him rich. You have to own multiple, okay? Administration. So it's yours and you own it, but you also have to remember that there's administration, there's rules, there's things that are predetermined. Sometimes the price is, things are predetermined. Obviously, when you're talking about food, the menu is predetermined usually. I know people that, my friend that owned the Popeyes, I said, why are you selling? He goes, because we're about to have a rework. And I said, what's that? And he said, well, Popeyes every 2 years changes the designs of, their interior, and you as an owner, you have to take on those costs. And I said, how much is that? He was like $15,000 to $20,000. I don't want to pay it, so I'm going to sell it before, right? Now the new owner knows that they're walking into that, but you don't have a choice. You can't say, oh, I'll do that next year. So someone else is still calling the shots to some extent. Now that makes the system work, but, right, we talked about this. A disadvantage is having employees. What do employees do?
Complain.
Steal. They steal. They lie about hours. Yes or no?
Yes.
I did too. I'm not an angel, but I had, right? It's employee theft. You steal stuff, you lie about your hours, right? Anything you can do to get out of work. Lie about being sick, somebody dies, you can go to the concert. That's what employees do. The thing about having employees is that, you want to pay them market value. In one of these franchises, maybe it's $11, maybe it's $12. I mean, they'll leave you for 50 cents, and they should. Having employees is not easy. Here, everybody's a contractor. No one is an expense to me. If you do nothing, it's okay. You're not costing me anything. Right? If it takes you time to be a performer, it's okay. It doesn't cost me anything. And obviously with a franchise, you're assuming a very big risk. Very big risk. When you buy that franchise, they're going to fly you somewhere in the country. Sometimes you got to put in, a week, 2 weeks, maybe a month of training. You have to work. It's like, you have to work in all the different aspects of the restaurant. You'll be cooking the food. You'll be working the register. You'll be working some of their other locations. It takes a lot of time and money. You can be successful, but now you know how they work. Network marketing is another opportunity that's prevalent right now. Avon, Mary Kay, Quickstar. There's thousands of them now. Monavie. What's the video phone one? ACN. Right? The ones where they have meetings similar to this. They talk about passive income, but let's talk. Low startup costs. So in a true network marketing company, which Primerica is not, but in a true network marketing company, the people who make money there, the cool thing about it, very low startup costs. It doesn't take you 5 years to turn a profit because you made a $300,000 down payment. Unlimited income potential. If you have thousands and thousands and thousands of people under you, you can make a lot of money. A lot of these companies now, they're worldwide. They're not like us where they have licensing, so they can be in all these different countries now. I've met some of these guys. They do make money. There's no territories. My friend that used to own the Popeyes, I was like, what's one of the more successful ones? And he said, dude, that one off of Route 50 Greenbrier is just an absolute cash cow. But what can he do? Can he go open one, a mile? No, you can't do that. They say, this is where you can open one. This is where you're allowed to open one. Network marketing, no territories. Where do you want to move? What city do you want to live in? Where do you want to build your business? Where do you want to have, your location? Absolutely no territories. That is an advantage. Anybody can do it, right? Most people, skincare sales or whatever these selling body wraps, makeup. That wasn't their profession. But it's a system that's simple enough that most people can do. What are the disadvantages? Very few people make money. I mean, you think about Primerica. In our literature, in the legal stuff, it says the average agent makes $5,000 a year. Now, you may not think that's a lot, but we have 120,000 people, of which 60 to 70% are licensed and have no intention of doing anything. So now you're talking about what? You're talking about only maybe 20, 30,000 people are working at this thing, and they're counting another 100,000 that do absolutely nothing, and the average is $5,000. What is it for these companies? A couple bucks probably. Very few people make money. No positive name recognition. Most of these companies, when you say their name, Amway and whatever else, people run in the other direction. You need a large number of people. Richard, how many people do you need in Amway to make $100,000?
300-400.
300-400? Did Sophia have 300-400 people when she made $100,000? No. How many people does she have? 10, 15, 12? Right?